dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Still nobody's been able to guess what that tune is. So welcome to another exciting episode of Getting Projects Done. I am continuing work on my Aeldari Corsairs. They're from Forgeworld. And I've got like about 20 something of them to do. I've been working on 12 up to today. There are another 12 sitting on my to-do pile, and we will get to those. We might take a break, I think. Once I'm done this little first batch, I'll take a break. Something else, there's a lot of projects I have on the go right now. For example, I have this little model here that I want to get finished. It is for Relic Blade, the Wilderkin faction. I recently did a video on how to do red hair, and so this is, in fact, why she's just her hair is painted. And then, of course, I also have, whoop, geez, dropping stuff now. I also picked up some ambots for Necromunda, and I want to start getting to work on them. I have been working on them off camera. I have not been filming anything I have been doing with them. And yeah, and of course another big project that I have on the go at the moment is I also have these 1/12 size heads, and I began sculpting some work on him. If anybody recognizes that mug, and yeah, so you might be able to guess what my plan is with that. But otherwise, yeah, we are going to get started on projects. We're going to get projects done. We are going to work on the Corsairs today. We are going to finish off the wings, do a bit of dry brushing, and also we got to do a bit of black on the helmets. What else was there? I was thinking of doing some edging on the armor, the red armor. The red armor looks really fantastic. It's, you know, really luminous. I like the way it looks, but we may, you know what, I'm gonna turn this off here. We don't need this at the moment. Yeah, so I'm thinking that we are going to continue on with the wings. And you can see last week we had used Turbo Dork shifting sands, and we did about 3 layers, and I stippled pretty much the last layer to kind of get a bit of a Damascus type steel look on the wings, and I kind of like the effect, but I do want to push the highlight a little bit further, I think. And so for that, I'm going to use some silver. And which silver shall I use? Do I have any silvers that would be fun? What's that? No. 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 You could use gold, I guess. No, not gunmetal. No, not bronze. Polished metal? I'm thinking about using some MIG ammo. Copper? No, not copper. Let's see. Let's have a look here. Polished metal is actually kind of nice and bright. Maybe we'll use some polished metal. Just Bro. Hey, Chris. With a K. Long time watcher. First time caller. Looking great. Well, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna use some, I think we're gonna use some MIG ammo today. We're just gonna do some polished metal, and I just need to make sure this is all nice and shook. You can hear the little agitator inside the bottles. These bottles, they come with agitators in them as well, so anybody who's looking to pick up some metallics. I actually really like these paints. I don't use them very often, but I do like them. The metallics cover very nicely. I'm a big fan of Scale 75's metallics, and these metallics are also really good as well. I've been really enjoying these. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Hey, Chris and Monkeys, excited to get some painting done today. Yes, let's get some painting done. Let's see if we can't get this this batch of Corsairs done. And then, like I said, we'll take a break. And I do have many projects on my desk at the moment. I can see my desk, well, you probably can't see it very well because it's all out of focus because I have it all focused in for here, but yeah, I got all sorts of stuff. Like I got Harlequins here on the go. Harlequins. I actually have Harlequins to assemble. I got all sorts of stuff. I've got Abaddon to still finish. Man, I got all sorts of stuff. Never mind speaking about my Deepkin, because I still have yet my Deepkin to finish. I have a whole bunch of these guys. Got the characters. Have all sorts of ideas, all sorts of plans, but you know, damn. I'm just making sure this is thoroughly shook, because it has been sitting on my desk for a bit. But the thing is, though, is these paints, these are really good. They're dropper style bottles. They airbrush and brush very nicely. I've used this color a few times. I can't remember where I've used it, but I do like how nice and shiny it is. Anywho, this is what we're going to start off with. I'm going to do a little bit of edging on the wings. I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of stutter the brush stroke a bit, just so that it kind of hits the points where the thicker parts of the shifting sands finished off on the wing, because I built more of the color down towards the bottom edge of the wing. I also was toying with the idea of tinting up near where the frame of the wing is, I don't know, the arm. I don't know. Either way, it's really not a whole lot left to do. It's you know, get my wet palette out for wetting, and let's throw some metal down. Yeah. Now this color is nice and thin. Let's use this brush. Here, I'll give you guys a quick little look. As long as this doesn't throw off the white bounce. Yeah, you can see. Flows really nice. It's nice and thin. Anyway, I'm sure you guys really care. Alright, let's get started. Yeah, so you can see how like there's little bright points on the bottom edge of the wing. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of imitate those points. And just run this along that edge, and that's really it. Let's do a little bit of edging on each of the little membranes. I was toying with the idea of like doing like deliberate little streaks and stuff, but meh. Actually, you know what? Just a straight up edge. We'll see how that looks. It's not clearly defined, but I don't really want a big thick edge highlight there, so we'll run with that for the moment. Just making sure I'm still in frame here. Yeah, see, this time I got a little too much paint on the brush. But just a straight up edging on the membrane does help. It kind of gives it a knife kind of blade kind of look. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Just a nice clearly defined edge on that membrane. That's it. All right, next model. Just bro, curse of the hobby, always having more projects. Yeah, exactly. Man, that red is so vibrant. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. In fact, I'm pretty sure how I built this red was I used actually MIG ammo gold. It's a really bright yellowy gold, and I used the airbrush, laid it down, and then just basically put down, I'm pretty sure it was Minotaur Ghost Tint Magenta on top, and it gives you that red. See, some of the magenta you can kind of see on this here, it looks a little bit more like magenta than it does red. That's because it is magenta. But yeah, anyway, that's how I did it, for anybody who's curious. just a quick little edge in here. We're only looking to get these guys to tabletop. Don't even know if these guys are going to be relevant in the latest edition of 40K. No idea, but we're getting them done. I've always really enjoyed these models. I've spent a bit of time converting them and getting them ready, and so a bit of love has gone into these guys, and I would really hate to see them get the axe. But who knows? Who knows? I do really need some tunes, though. I keep saying that. I keep forgetting to set that up on this pewter, this program. Oh shoot! Hit too much silver there. Oh well. Not too worried about it. It's got a little too much silver on it. So what do? I come back with more silver. Because that's how I do. That is how a Chris do. Switchblades on your back. Yes. Switchblades. Bleed. Is that you, Danny? Are you Bleed Rogers? Kind of see what I'm up to. Just a very fast edging, nothing fancy. When you are doing assembly line type of painting, one of the things to be careful of is like when you are, you're working through a bunch of models and stuff. You got to be mindful of how much paint and how long paint has been sitting on your brush, and give it a wash, periodically, just to clean off dried paint that invariably will build up in the bristles. Just, to take care of your brushes, Because why? Because they'll take care of you. Yeah, I am digging it. Just a quick little edging there, just to kind of bring that out a bit more. Not bad, not bad at all. I'm okay with it. Just bro. I have some First Legion I'm working on, painted them silver, and next is some Dark Angels green contrast through the airbrush. Cool. Very, very cool. Send pics. Hopefully everybody's been well last couple of days. It's been quite chaotic in these parts for anybody who's not in North America. Interesting times we live in. Yeah, I'm definitely digging that little edging. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was going to do something a little bit more, fanciful and, do like little things to imitate the highlights and stuff like that, but these are tabletop. I'm not, not that thick. Oops. Oops. I'm also not that concerned about it. Normally, too, when you are, working on a bunch of models, you don't really want to be handling them too much. Like, see how I'm kind of grabbing the model and everything? You really don't want to be doing that, just because the oils from your finger can transfer onto the model, can obscure paint or help paint rub off, and that'll just annoy you. So I often recommend using a handle and what have you, but again, I'm not that concerned about these models in that regard, that I'm going to be entering these to be judged or anything like that. These are my pieces, and I want to get them done. Get them done. And that's one of the dangers of painting well, is oftentimes your gaming group will have expectations of your work, and sometimes you just want to get a model done for the tabletop, and just so you can play with it and have fun. And everybody's like, well, you didn't do this, or you didn't highlight this, and everybody's nitpicky about your work, like they're doing something better. And it's kind of unfortunate, because some people who paint their models and paint well just want to play. They just want to play. I am in that category. I'm not into having my work judged and preparing for some sort of competition. I don't really care about the competition. Yeah, that's fun. I like it. I'm okay with it. Again, like I said, I was considering putting like a tint just up closer to the where the frame is on the wing. I was tempted to do that. We still might, because Chris is a fickle one. I am fickle. Yeah. Oh yeah. Give it a quick rinse. You can just call me O. O? Just O? Oh, just O, bro. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Are they for 40k or Horse Heresy? I'm guessing 40k if they're green. Oh, because working on First Legion? Well, Alpha Legion, like, are they green? No, they're kind of the turquoisey metal. And I don't think their color scheme really changes from 30k to 40k, does it? For Alpha Legion? I've painted Alpha Legion. I've done it at one point. It's 40k indeed, yeah, it's for 40k. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alpha Legion, their color scheme is the same for both settings. I do believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. Last dude for the membranes. Insane in the membrane. It's like little fluffies. Yeah, so after this little batch, because I do have one more batch after this, After this batch, though, I think I will take a break and we will switch projects. We will work on something else. What? I have no idea. Anybody who was paying attention, leave a comment what I should work on next. Because some stuff I've been working off camera just because I want to get stuff done. So, and it's kind of refreshing, and it's something that I do think I need to do every once in a while to, you know, just kind of stay fresh. And, you know, I highly recommend it for a lot of people to, you know, switch your projects up, you know, so you don't get bogged down and get, you know, bummed out and burned out on your own projects, right? Oh, some Earl Grey, because he knows I loves me some Earl Grey. All right, sorry, I'm just rearranging the batch here so I can work assembly line like such. All right, so we did the edging of silver. I guess we can get to the next exciting part, which is highlighting the guns. I'm going to do a dry brush on the guns, and they have that little beak. Some of them have the little beaky thing on their helmets. I think I'll just do that as an edging. But I'm going to grab some Tyrant Skull. I'm going to grab a medium dry brush. Yeah, this is a medium dry brush. Now, the thing is that these models are plastic and resin, which means that they are super glued. And if you've ever heard me go on and on about super glue and on plastic kits, you know, there is a tendency for parts to break off from the body. Whereas, you know, a kit that's styrene plastic and, you know, you use plastic cement, it's you know, practically indestructible. I mean, you know, you drop it and parts are going to break, but I mean, you know, like for example, this guy, the cutter. Oh, I got cutters to do too. But yeah, this guy, he's assembled with, you know, plastic cement, and he's, you know, rock solid. I'm not going to try and break him, but just to illustrate my point. But I mean, you know, whereas these kits, you know, I did them with plastic cement or CA glue. And yeah, CA glue is brittle, and you know, so when you're dry brushing and you've done this kind of thing where you have resin and pewter, or resin and plastic, or plastic and pewter, or you know, anything like that, and you've used super glue to adhere the parts together, and you're going to dry brush, this is where it becomes very important that you keep a very light hand when you're dry brushing, a very light hand. Oh, I should admit, I'm very new, but I thought first was Dark Angels. Yeah, Dark Angels are the first chapter. And Alpha Legion, I can't remember what number Alpha Legion is, but yeah. Just, oh, got 7th edition box on sale from the friendly local gaming store. Cool. Hopefully got it for a good deal. Well, it was on sale, so. Go Starman Deluxe, you are correct. Dark Angels are the first Legion. Yes, yes, Dark Angels are the first. So, we're going to use some Citadel Dry Tyrant Skull. We're going to use this because this is kind of a bone color. And as you may or may not recall, we used a very... What the hell did I use? I think it was Ricard Flesh, right? Ricard Flesh, and then I did a shade wash of... Skeleton Horde. I think it was Skeleton Horde, and I washed that over it to give me this kind of deeper bone color. And now I'm going to use Tyrant Skull, which is going to be obviously a good deal brighter, and we're just going to catch just edges. We're just doing just a very quick edging on these things with dry brushing. The magic of dry brushing. I don't know why I'm shaking this. This is dry. This is solid. So, anywho, so anybody who's wondering about using Citadel Dry, these paints are solid. See, I can turn it upside down. It is solid, but it's not solid. It's actually kind of gelatinous. And I always dip my brush in, see how it kind of squishes. All right, here, you can see if we can get a better angle. And you can see it's squishy, right? So I always get just a little bit on my brush because this stuff is pretty pigmented. because it pretty much is just pigment with a minimal amount of binder. And then I always use, I always close the cap too. So I take that, and I have like an old t-shirt I use, and I wipe it off on this old t-shirt. It's often a dark t-shirt, just because oftentimes when we're dry brushing, it's a lighter color, and a darker t-shirt or rag, whatever, allows me to see what I've done better. So I just quickly rub the brush back and forth until there's a very minimal amount of paint in the bristles, like it looks almost non-existent, right? Then we go to our model, right? And then very, very lightly, just so the tips of the hairs are just catching the surface. And the tricky part, especially when other areas of the model are painted, you know, to keep a very light hand and not hit other areas of the model. Now, if you feel the model moving in your hand, you are dry brushing too hard. So you do not want to feel your model, you know, moving around in your hand lots, right? It's okay if you feel a slight vibration, but you don't want a whole lot of movement, and you definitely don't want to be pushing the brush, like banging it right against the model surface, like, you know, just full on. It's just the tips of the hair. It's just, you know what I mean? Just very, very slightly. That's dry brushing. And dry brushing is a very effective tool. And yeah, and see, we got just a slight little edging going on there. And that's it. That's what we're gonna do for the next probably 10-15 minutes with dry brushing this crap. Grab a little bit more in my brush. Again, you don't really need that much paint on your bristles when using Citadel Dry, because the pigment wipe a considerable amount off, and then dry brushy. Old Man Logan, there he is. Hey Chris, happy Friday, my friend. Happy Friday. Hopefully you're getting some work done. Hopefully. Or just taking it easy. Either way, the day is yours. Do with it as you will. See, just a very, very simple, just catching just edges, and that's it. Let's see if there's enough on here to do this one. Not quite. No, I need a little more paint. So I'm gonna have to pretty much dunk every time. Now, mind you, it's not so bad because, again, you don't really use that much paint. But the big part is you really want to make sure you get a lot of the paint off the bristles. That's key. Because otherwise, you're going to get big streaks. And anybody who's ever tried the dry brush and you ended up with like these big, massive brush strokes, like on the model, you see like streaks. Yeah, that's because there's too much paint on your brush. And the fun part too is that the dry brushing gives you a bit of a matte finish. So it's the visual contrast between like the shiny armor and like the bone of his gun, right? And I like these visual contrasts, these differences in texture. Old Man Logan got a bit discouraged on the Soulbright. I am working on. Almost through it in the sonic cleaner, start over, but stepped away for a couple of days, looked at it again, and it is not as bad as I thought. Might still end up in the cleaner, but I want to try a couple of things first. Yeah, well, you know, don't be discouraged by failures. Learn from them. You know, what did you do? How can you prevent it? How can you refine it, right? So don't ever be discouraged by your failures. Just learn and adapt. You know, I really wish I still had all my old miniatures that I painted from way back in the day, so I could show y'all how I used to paint. And you know, as long as you keep practicing and doing it, you get better at it. Yep, that's fine. I'm okay with all that. And a lot of people kind of poo-poo on Citadel Dry. I like Citadel Dry. I don't know. It's fun. It's easy. A lot of the products that, you know, come out of Citadel, you know, they make life a little bit easier. Just like Contrast. People poo-pooed on that stuff, and it's like, how can you, you know, get all uppity about, you know, paint? Like, you know, people are crazy. They're crazy. They're crazy. Just the paint. It's another tool. Or do you think it's something like the idea of change? And people get really kind of, oh no, I don't like that. This is how I used to get 40 rods, you know, 40 rods of the hogshead, and that's the ways I likes it. Make sure I'm kind of in frame here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you're dry brushing, you know, the rules I kind of, you know, state, you can also break them as well. I mean, because, for example, overloading the brush and, you know, putting too much paint down and getting the streakiness, that can be your goal as well. You know what I mean? Like, you can deliberately create streaks on a model. Nothing wrong with that, because, you know, it's all part of your end goal. Because maybe sometimes, you know, for example, like the side of a tank, and you want to create the kind of the weathering. Well, dry brushing technique is going to be a really fast way of getting it done, right? Where you, on the top edge, you take a slightly lighter color, and then really, you know, you don't quite take all the paint off the bristles, and you just create a quick streak down the side, and it creates that run down the side of the armor, right? So, you know, it's all really just how we employ brush techniques. And the more experience you gain, the more you can determine, you know, how you want to employ those techniques. So, yeah. This is going to be fun. This one definitely going to get some of the armor. Just because, you know, how I have to run the brush across the surface. I don't want to, but it's going to happen. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. And of course, like I said, when you're dry brushing, it's all about maintaining a light hand. Very, very light hand. You want to be surgical with this. Precise. Yeah. That's fun. I am okay with it all. Normally, whenever I'm doing a lot of dry brushing like this, I usually just have the color on the palette and then just, you know, grab it. But because this pigment, these Citadel Dries, they already have very little binder in them, that if I put it on the palette, it'd probably dry out really fast anyway. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to end up, you know, wasting unnecessary amounts, right? You want to be efficient and not wasteful. Doing a little bit more dry brushing on the ends of the barrels, just because I want a bit more color to build up on the end of the barrel, but also catch a bit of the top as well. Maintaining a very light hand. And again, when you're dry brushing, it's always about going against the grain of the surface, so you can catch those edges. Just like that. Where the hell am I? Oh, I love the Citadel I have, but mainly use Army Painter because it's cheap. Yeah, and Army Painter, there's nothing wrong with Army Painter. It's just, A lot of Army Painter products are just more or less geared towards, you know, just being just like paints, whereas with the Citadel side of things, with the dry, the layers, the base coats, you know, the technicals, stuff like that, they try to categorize it so that new people kind of have a good launching off point where to, you know, where colors and what paints and what things should be used and where at what times. Now that's again just a quick way of looking at it, and it is not the hard be all end all of rule, you know, because you can use you can take this Citadel dry, add a bit of Lamy and medium, put it on your palette, and you know, use a bit of Lamy and medium, and you have a very thin layer paint, right? So you can just as easily do that. You know, just because it's a dry color doesn't mean that it's only for these instances. You can add a bit more medium to it and make a regular paint out of it. But yeah. So Aeldari Lamborghini, there he is. I think people also think that certain products are cheating, which is like dumb. Painting isn't a graded test for school. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same with like airbrushing and stuff like that, right? There's so many people who still kind of consider that cheating. And honestly, when I was much younger, and you know, I was in that mindset of, you know, trying to be a better painter, and you know, doing what, you know, masters were doing and such. And yeah, nobody was airbrushing. Everybody was brush painting. Everybody was, you know, glazing and, you know, stuff like that. And you know, and I was once in that camp of airbrushing was cheating. And as I matured, I realized that, you know, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous sentiment. And I was wrong when I was young, as a young person. And you know, airbrushing is just a tool. Just like all these products here are just tools to achieve your desired result, as far as, you know, what you want to accomplish, as far as, you know, how you want to paint your miniatures. And first and foremost, they're your miniatures. You paint them however you want. You bought them. You spent the money on them. Your hard-earned money. You paint them up whatever goddamn way you want. I grabbed a little too much paint that time. Yeah, even some of us, it happens. So you may or may not notice how I shift, how I, you know, dry brush. Sometimes in some areas it's a semicircular, and sometimes it is a full-on up and down, or semicircular, or, you know, whatever, right? Most bigger flat surfaces, I'll do a semicircular. I just want to really catch some of these edges down here. And then if I really want to load the paint on, like sometimes I'll go like this way with the broad end of the brush, but then if I really want to build a paint, then I turn it this way, so it's a longer time that the brushes are moving on that surface, right? I'm not entirely happy with that. This is that model that I recess shade way back when I started painting these guys. I want a bit more paint on my brush. Wait. Almost drop my stuff. I just want a bit more color buildup on this end here. Yeah, there we go. Bit stronger. Bit stronger. Yeah, there we go. That's the ticket. Yeah. Oh, baby. There we go. Now we're talking. Yeah, that's better. Happier with that. Now this one is a tricky one, because this one has a little sword and a pistol. So now I gotta be a little bit careful, because I don't know. I've had swords and stuff break on me when I was drying. I don't know why I shook that. I just shook the dry again. Force of habit. I don't know why I'm shaking the paints. Dry paints, it's a solid pigment. Okay. Here I am shaking it like some sort of crazy person. Anyway, let's dry brush this pistol. The pistola. Try and catch some more of this end of the barrel. Now, one of the things about dry brushing that a lot of people, you know, they don't like it is if your base coat is not smooth, then it makes your brush strokes very apparent. And I think that's why a lot of people also, especially like newer painters, don't really care for dry brushing and find it a challenge because it does really pick up your brush strokes, which is why I always mention that, you know, mastering the the base coat so that, you know, you can lay down a nice smooth base coat, and that way when you do end up using a technique like dry brushing, you know, it doesn't pick up a lot of those little boo-boos, right? And I'm going to try and concentrate more of this towards the end of this sword here. I'm going to use my finger just to support this. So I want to build more color towards the tip. And maybe we'll come in afterwards and use an edging. Yeah, maybe we'll come in with some like Screaming Skull or something and just put a brighter edge on that blade. The blade's all curved too. I strained it at one point, but again, I'm not too worried about it. So anyway, we're done dry brushing there. Comments, where am I here? Old Man Logan, I have several of the paints for me. I just found them to be inconsistent from pot to pot. It may be that I live in a very dry climate, so that oftentimes they get too dry to the point where I can't get the pigment on the brush. Yeah, like I said, well, when I'm dipping back and forth between the pot, and you know, whenever I'm talking about, you know, good painting habits, I always mention that, you know, you shouldn't ever, you know, draw paint from directly from the paint pot, but from the lip. But because this stuff doesn't move, there's not very much paint in the lip, and you know, so you do kind of have to break that rule. But oh, she's back. My doggie's back. So yeah, so if you're sitting there and you're using this stuff and you're just dry brushing away, you know, having a dry brush session, and you're leaving your paint pot wide open, yeah, you're exposing it to the elements. So even in my area, I always close between dry brushings because, like I said, if I use this, put it on a palette, it'd be dry by the time I was halfway done it, and it'd be wasteful. Now, sitting it on the wet palette would change its composition as moisture wicks into the paint and you know, dilutes it essentially. That can be a problem as well. But I mean, not really, because you've seen videos where you know, I have paint on the palette and it's wet and it's even very thin, and I'll take a dry brush, run it in, and you dry brush with it. Again, it's all pigments, it's all just technique, and it's not specific to the paint. There's no special formula in these other than the fact that they have less binder in them and they're more pigmented, right? Like it's just the ratio of binder, acrylic binder, and pigment that differs. And same with like the layer paints and the base paints. There's a different amount of binder to them. The layer paints seem to have more binder to them because they flow a bit thinner, whereas the base paints have a bit more pigment to them, so it's a less binder. It's, I mean, whatever way you want to imagine the ratios, right? So that's all it is. It's just pigment to binder ratios. And that's it. From dry to base to layers, you know, that's all it is. Now, one of the things I often do, you can see my brush here is really dirty with paint. You know, always give it a rinse, of course. But because the nature of dry brushing, it ends up beating the pigment into the bristles. And so if I was to do another dry brush, say different color, or, you know, deeper color, lighter color, whatever, you might get some color transference, right? So what do I do between colors? Always wash the brush off between colors, because Chris doesn't like transference. So I just grab it, run it through, and you can see some of the color already on the soap there, right? So I just quickly grab a little bit of soap, close that up, and then wash the brush. Ghost Starman, gotta love contrast. Even someone like me who isn't great at painting can get an army battle ready in no time. Yeah, exactly, and that's what it was for. But I mean, more advanced painters can employ those paints and other techniques as well. But that's what it was geared towards, is, you know, newer people and encouraging people to get their armies painted, because, you know, when you can play with a bunch of people who have their armies all painted, the game is much more enjoyable. Sir Peanut Butter, subscribe with Twitch Prime. They've subscribed for 11 months. Hoof. Hoof. Oh, it's a little monkey emoji. Old Man Logan, when I get good pot, though, I really like them. Yeah. Oh, shake it, baby. Goes to Starman Deluxe. Better to shake dry than not shake a base or a layer. Yeah, exactly, right? So it's just a habit, you know. Oop, what did I do there? Sorry, I'm grabbing some paper towel to wipe this soap off my hand. So anyway, yeah, wash the brush, give it a good rinse, and if I was done with it, I would condition the brush and then put it away. But I might use this brush again, and yeah. Again, like I said, the process of dry brushing does beat the paint into the bristles, and you can see up close to the frill, you can still see there's a bit of paint there, but that's okay. This is a dry brushing brush, and just a majority of the paint should be removed, and yeah. So, and that's fine. But, I mean, again, dry brushing brushes, you're going to beat the crap out of them anyway. I mean, like, I have a small dry brush that, you know, I use, and I really like this one. And you can see the bristles are just all over the place. And this is cleaned. I cleaned this brush, and you can just see the bristles are everywhere, right? And it's just the nature of dry brushing. So whenever you dry brush, don't use, you know, your better brushes that, you know, come to nice points. Don't use these for any kind of dry brushing. A brush, for the most part, should have kind of a set task, right? Your good pointy brushes go to good points, and your dry brushing brushes are separate. You know, I often use this shade wash brush for drawing the paint out of the paint pots, stuff like that. This is really just kind of my gather brush, so, you know, and of course shade wash as well, but, you know, anywho. Okay, what are we working on now? We got the wings, we got the guns. We could work on the flesh. I guess we can work on the black. Now, I had recently, well, yeah, I posted on YouTube. I had shown doing black hair, and so his hair has been highlighted and such. I'm going to use a more speedier method to paint the hair, because there's a few of them that have hair. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3. 3 with hair. But I'm also going to do the helmets in the same color. Oh, what are we going to do? I'm going to sip a tea while I ponder what colors I'm going to use. Ghost Starman Deluxe. I think I've got stuff I worked on last week to the point where I'm happy and I'll send in an email. There's another thing that I have to go on the back burner until I get some bronze paint, right? Chris, I can't help notice you just painted your hand. You may need to go to the asylum. I didn't paint my hand. I was washing my brush on my hand. See, my hands clean. Clean hands. See? Clean hands. Okay. So, what to do. Okay, so we used flat black for the hair, but for that guy's hair, I used Abaddon black. I guess we can stick with scale 75. Where's the flat black? Oh, you know what? Scale 75 does have some darker grays as well. What is this? Petroleum gray. It's a really dark color. See, here's the flat black, and then there's a petroleum gray. It almost looks like it's got like a brown hue to it. Interesting. I don't know if I want to go with this though. I want to go with a blue Blue black. Blue black. What do we got for blues? Scale 75. I want to actually more of like a turquoisey color. Does scale 75 have a turquoisey color? I don't even know. Oh, I gotta have a look here. I mean, we could go with Caribbean blue. It's got like a blue-green to it. Navy blue. No, that's purple. No, that's purple. No, that's a brown. Okay, you know what? We're using Caribbean blue. It's like a really, really light color. So we're gonna mix this probably about like 5 to 1 to begin our first highlight, and I'm probably gonna go about 2 highlights. Oh, you know what? I didn't do the beaks of the helmets. Oh, we'll worry about that in a bit. Yeah, we'll worry about that in a bit. I just want to see if this will work here. All right, so we're gonna make sure these paints are nice and shook. Ghost Starman Deluxe. Just because you cleaned it doesn't mean you don't use a brush to apply pigment to it. Huh? What? I don't get it. Just because you cleaned it doesn't mean you didn't use a brush to apply pigment to it. To my hand? Okay. I don't know. You're confusing me. Alright. Yeah, it's getting warmer in my area, and my wet palette is not really keeping my paints wet. Yeah, a little bit. Oops. Now I got silver all over my hand. See how strong that silver was, though, eh? Here, I'll grab a little bit of that silver. And it's a pretty intense color. It's really shiny. Shiny. Alright. Ghost Starman looks. Never mind, I'm just messing around again. I know you're messing around. You like confusing poor old Chris. Alright, I'm going to separate. Okay, so we don't need to do his head because he just got painted in a video. But we need to do his hair. We're going to do the hairs separate. So I got 3 with hair. And then I got these other guys here. What's this? 8 duders? 8 duders. 8 duders with helmets, 3 with hair, and 1 has already been done with hair. So we've just got 3 hairs. Alright. Yeah. So let's go with 1 drop of Caribbean blue. Like so. Pretty thick, actually. I might not have shook it enough. I was using it not too long ago. 2, 3, 4, 5. That might be a little too big a ratio. I don't know. I'm going to find out here in a second because I'm just speculating. Grab just a bit of water on my brush. Let's have a look here. Oh man, that color just absorbed it. I don't even see a tonal shift at all. Okay, I gotta add a little bit more Caribbean blue to it. So this is probably closer to a 2 to 1. Oof. Actually, where I'm mixing it right now is a little, oh no, it's a little too intense. Okay, let's push it back a little more. Let's mix more into the color. Okay, yeah. Let's mix it right into the whole thing. We'll mix the entire pile. Yeah, this is closer to what I want. It's not quite like normally, like with Citadel, I would use like Incubi Darkness and mix it into the black just to give me a deeper in between. This isn't quite that, but it's not bad. It's got a slight blue cast to it, but it is not quite as turquoisey as I normally like, but that's fine. Alright, so let's grab this brush. we're not dry brushing this. We're just going to do a quick little layering on the hair. I'm not using any mediums. I'm just going to grab a little dollop. And yeah, I'm just going to quickly just grab the hair. You know what? I'm just going to do it in a fairly broad fashion. Because maybe if I feel adventurous, I might dry brush the last little highlight on the hair. But I'm getting just the ends of the hair there. Again, I'm not being super precious about how I'm highlighting these things, so I'm not too worried. I do want to be sort of careful though in some areas, because I don't want to have to, you know, go back too many times. So I just want just these spots right up on the front of the face. Just like so. Oop, hit some of the flesh. That's okay. We can fix that later. But yeah, that's not bad. I'm okay with that. Next duder. Grab more of the color. Looks like I was already trying to highlight this one. I say try because the color is not very solid. Bit more like an overbrushing I'm doing on some of these areas of the hair. Just trying to build the color up towards the ends of the hair. If anybody's been watching the hair videos, well, patrons have early access to the hair videos, but I actually did one today for any of you patrons out there. Platinum blonde. Oh, I got a little dingleberry on the end there. There we go. Yeah, platinum blonde I did today. Just something a little different. Okay, so now that's hairdos. Helmets. Now the helmets, I'm going to do just a pretty much big broad, but I think I might do the intake vents. There's intake vents on the side of their helmet. I might push a little highlight back like that on the helmets. Yeah, let's do something like that. So let's get the hairdos out of the way. So we'll do a finish off with another highlight on those. And so helmets. Color. Yeah, so you can see on the helmets here. Well, you might not be able to see it on the camera, it's kind of dark, but anyway, just up on the vents, so on this ridge on the helmet, and then on the very top of the helmet, I'm just going to do a fairly broad highlight right through the center. Just push it down right towards the eyes. Try to get this side as well. Nope. Hit the armor. Dang it. Thankfully, it is sealed, so wiping off mistakes is pretty darn easy. Just like that. Just get rid of it. And, yeah, the highlight. You can see the highlight is just noticeable. Yep, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Again, this is all about getting projects done, getting her done. Because I'm dedicated to a fast way of doing this, I can just quickly work my way around. Yeah, a little too far there. Oh well. That's it. Next duder. Duder. Oops, got some areas. Oh well. Not too worried about it. Down here. Okay. Now the thing is like I'm laying these really broad highlights down, but because the colors are not that too far off from each other, I'm not too worried about, you know, neatness or, you know, any other concerns really. I'm just, you know, blocking in the color really essentially. I'm just trying to maintain a consistent kind of shape to the highlight, which is kind of like this kind of like a big oval on that space. It's kind of hard to see in camera, but it's a fairly broad highlight I'm putting down. Okay, last dude. And we're really moving through these guys. What time are we at here? Holy carmoles, we're only an hour in. Nice. Nice. There we go. Okay. So that's the helmet. Or the first highlight. Old Man Logan, lost connection for a bit. Did you happen to respond to the consistency issues I had with the dry paints? And is there anything that can be done to get them to the right dry consistency if they are in a lump of clay state? Well, you can add a bit of lamy and medium to them. Kind of rehydrate them a bit. I wouldn't add too much. It doesn't take much to rehydrate them. You can use like a stir stick, something sturdy, and just give it a big good mix. It doesn't matter if it stays like a drop of clay or if it's kind of crumbly looking or anything like that, because what really matters is as long as it's slightly hydrated again, that you can, you know, use it. But I did go on for a bit about, you know, the consistency of dries, so you might want to rewind. I don't know. Anywho, crap, I got blue all over my fingers now. I thought that was dry. There was like, you know, the gunk on the tip there. Anyway. Oh, excuse me. We're going to add another generous amount there. And mix this in. This is going to be our next highlight. Can you guys see? Yeah, you guys can kind of see what I'm doing there. Now this should be closer to... Man, this is probably closer to a 1-to-1, realistically. The color's not bad. It's a deep green, but it's not, or not deep green, but it's not like I'm used to using like Inky by Darkness for this highlight. And with the color I'm getting right now, it's this almost blue-gray, but there is that hint of a turquoisiness to it, which I'm okay with. I'm just going to rearrange my ordering here. So do these guys here. Do these guys here. Here. Okay, I guess we'll do you first. Okay, now this highlight is going to be very, very minimal, very, very small, and very, very deliberate. So just like that. Catch just the front of the hair. Go for just the fronts. Go for just these high points here. Yeah. And then we'll come down, braid a bit. And that will pretty much be it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Next one. Next. Catch just these ends here. Catch this top part here. And then the front of the head. A little bit there. I guess a little bit on the back of that, I guess. Just a bit. Good enough. That's the other one too, like, you know, so when you're painting, there's this kind of saying, it's good enough. It's good enough, you know. And where it's I'm happy with where it's at, and I'm gonna leave it the hell alone. That's always a challenge. Challenge everybody faces, but you know, challenge nonetheless. You just gotta accept sometimes, you know. Just let go. Just let go. Of course, if I get a little too hilarious with my highlights, I can always knock this back with some, you know, known oil or, you know, any of the shade washes or anything like that. All right, helmets. Again, we're going to do the same thing as before, just a little less. So we're just going to catch just the tip of the nozzle here and the top of the head. And just in a quick little highlight like that. Nozzle, a little bit on this rib on the side of the head, and that will be it. Just like that. There we go. When you start getting into these like final highlights and stuff like that, you know, you really start to kind of pick up speed because you can feel yourself getting to the end goal. It's like the last mile of a marathon. Not that I'd know. I've never run a marathon, as you may or may not have guessed. 2. Oh, shoot. Hit that thing again. So like I said, make those boo-boos. Because the model's already sealed, I can just quickly wipe that off. Gotta be fast, though. Like, fast. Like Superman fast. There we go. Okay. That, I think, is as far as I want to go with those helmets. Or the black on those helmets. The hair, though, on the other characters, I do think I want to push it a little bit further. So I am going to take a little bit more of the blue, mix that in, and make just another final little highlight. Just like that. And I'm not going to mix it into the entire dollop of paint that I created. Once I mix to the point at which I think I like it, I'll use it. Kind of like there. Yeah, that's pretty much where I want it. Just do a very fast little highlight on just a few points. So just basically just kind of catching just the tips. Minimal amount of highlights, just like so. I just want to bring out some of the texture that I might have missed earlier. Just like that. Yep, I'm mostly happy with that. Next guy. Catch just those tops of these hairs here. Just the end. Just a bit. Top of here. And then get the face. Just a little bit on the front. Just like so. Yeah. That is it. That is all I wanted. Kind of see there. That's it for that one. Fun. Okay, that's hair, that's armor, and the helmets. All right, we said we're going to do an edging on the front masks. Any comments here? Oh, is the email to submit pictures Chris at? Yes, it's Chris at weightofthebrush.com. Holy camoli, my tea. My tea. It's cold. Alright. So now we're going to do an edging. I could take some of the Terminus stone, add a bit of medium to it, and make an edge. Well, you know what? Screw it. Because I was talking about it, let's do it. I'll show you. I'll take just a little bit of that dry. I'll add a drop of a medium, and we will just use it like an edging paint. Oh, after I kill the rest of my tea here, I got to, I got to finish it off because I'm not going to, drink it when it's ice cold. How come they don't do, like, typically like iced tea is like orange pico flavor. How come they don't do like an Earl Grey cold tea, right? Because I like the flavor of Earl Grey over orange pico. But yeah, just wondering. So these are the kinds of things that keep me up at night. Alrighty, so let's grab a little bit of this Tyrant Skull. Tyrant Skull? Yeah, Tyrant Skull. And I'll throw a little bit onto my palette. So it's actually kind of challenging to grab a little chunk. You can see there, brush is kind of loaded with it a little bit, right? So I'm going to slap a little bit right here on the palette. Actually, it's quite a bit. Okay, it's a little bit more than I thought there was. Okay. Take a little bit of Lamian Medium. Should only take about a drop to hydrate this more. Alright, I mix my brush and mix it in. And so you just break the paint down so it doesn't look quite as chunky anymore. Actually, a drop was a little too much. Really didn't take much to bring this to like a layered paint state. Oh, plus two, it's on the wet palette as well, so it's absorbing water. But yeah, it's a little too much. Too much Lamian Medium. I'm gonna grab more of the dry. That's probably too much, but screw it. You can see there, I got a good chunk of my brush. And then yeah, we'll mix it right in so that you don't see any more chunks, and you'll see it's just like the paint. And in fact, this is probably closer to a Shabti bone, really, once I see it on the palette like this. It's also taking in moisture from the wet palette, so that's also helping thinning it down. Yeah. Hold on. Get it to a nice creamy state. Yeah. You can see on my brush here. It looks just like paint. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all, man. That's all it is. It's just paint. It ain't rocket science. It's just paint. So now we have some on the brush. And let's do a quick little edging. I'm just going to do an edge right down the front. Like so. And then just try and catch just this top part here. Or closest to the helmet. Oh, too much. That's good. Okay, we're coming on this side now. But yeah, that's it. Bee. That's all I'm doing is just a little peak right on the top of the like where the bridge of the nose would be. That's all I'm doing is laying a highlight there. Basically all I'm looking for is just a bit of separation from the little beaky part to the face. That's it. So here I got a little bit of too much paint on. A little more. Okay. The last one. And then, where do we go after this? I don't know. We did the edge, the wings. We did the guns. Oh, I mentioned I was probably going to edge the armor. Oh, I didn't do the flesh yet. We didn't. Let's do the flesh, because there's four really that I have to paint their faces. So I started off, I think, with Bugman's Glow. Is that what I did it last time? So very quickly here, we will take Cadian flesh tone and then some Kislev flesh. So let's grab Cadian. Is that Cadian? No, that's Cadian. No, that's Bugman. That's Cadian. And that's Kislev. Nope, that's Ungovernor. That's Kislev. Let's give these a good shake. Man, where the hell am I? Disflux. I'm drinking cold Earl Grey right now. Leave some tea bags in a pitcher of water overnight. Cold Earl Grey. Yeah, see, I'm not... But see, the thing is, though, is I don't add anything to my tea, right? So I don't drink my tea with, with sugar or cream or anything like that. So, yeah. Disflux, what's everyone working on today? I don't know. What is everybody working on today? Well, I think it's kind of obvious what I'm working on today. I'm working on Corsairs. Hence what I said in the beginning of the video. Disflux, I'm about to start a Tyranid Malceptor. Such a cool looking monster. The Malceptor? Which one's that? Is that the one with the big, all the tentacles? It kind of looks like a Zoanthrope, but like massive. Is that what that one is? Job's left nut. No, none of the hipster juice anywhere near hot tea. Oh, but I like my hipster nut juice. Ooh. Whoa. Ghost Starman Deluxe. If you don't have nut in your tea, is it even worth it? You don't have nut in your tea? What? Oh, almond milk? Is that what we're talking about? Almond milk for those that can't handle lactose. Yeah, see, I just drink mine just straight up. Bag in. I leave the bag in and I drink it the entire way through. Alright, Cadian flesh tone. That's what we're using. Because I used Bugman Glow for the base coat. So now, it's going to be a very quick highlighting of Cadian flesh tone. Just going to hit all the key areas, and then with a little bit of Kislev flesh, maybe we'll go into like Pallid Witch flesh or something. But just with Cadian flesh tone. Alright, there we go. So I'll start off on the brow. I usually always start off on the brow. And I grab like the cheek. And for the most part with this highlight, you can grab pretty much most of the areas of the face. And then, because the elves are kind of, they've got very soft features. Well, most of the part, oftentimes they often have soft features, but these guys have very prominent features. But either way, I treat them almost like female faces with the elves. So I will do often very subtle highlights. Not very, dramatic like a Space Marine or anything like that. I'm trying to catch this ear. On the very top of it anyway. There we go. See, even just with one highlight of Cadian, it already starts to look a little bit more interesting, right? And because I went to the trouble of finding unhelmeted faces, I do want to bring some attention and, pay attention more to those aspects. Oop, jeez, kicking boxes now. Oh, working on some terrain, never without an airbrush again. Speaking of terrain, I have the full box of Dark Uprising, Necromunda. I definitely want to, I'm looking forward to getting to work on those. But I do have a plan for those. So I may or may not film what I do. It all depends what kind of mood I'm in. If I feel like, you know, making more work for myself, which I usually don't, but you never know. Get kind of crazy in my older age, get a little more ambitious. Did I already highlight this guy? Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. I think I did something else for this guy's flesh tone. So I'm going to go with a little bit of Cadian flesh tone here. It's just thinned out. I'm just going to unify up some of the color. Yeah. Create a bit more of an even skin tone here. Like that. And then this guy's face. This guy looks so angry. He's so angry. I think it's like a dark elf from fantasy or regular 40k. Or not 40k. Warhammer Fantasy. Push too much color up towards the hairline. Probably hear my wife talking outside. Probably.
Oh, that's good.
There we go. Good enough. Next is Kislev flesh. Jobs left not. Chris, what would you suggest for rotten skin that has been in the water for a couple months? Oof. Well, normally, I tell you to research that. So, but I mean, that's pretty specific. I mean, like a body, like I'm assuming you were talking like human flesh tones, been under the water. Well, what does a body look like that's been under the water? Usually it's very sapped of color, isn't it? They're kind of almost like a gray. So if you went slightly, you know, browns to a blue-gray. But I mean, if you want to push towards more of a dramatic effect of a very cold, dead flesh, yeah, you definitely want to push towards more purples and blues, blue-grays. Desaturated anyway. Because oftentimes bodies that are left in the water and such, they are missing a lot of color. All right, next highlight is Kislev. I'm just going to do just very, very minimal highlights here. Disflux is the red spicy meatball paint. No, it is not. It is, I'm pretty sure I went with MIG Ammo's gold. What the hell gold is that? Hold on. Oh, dang it. No. It's going to be the last frickin' paint I grab. Oh, here it is. Crap, I can't see. I think it's just gold. But it was this. It was a very, very yellowy gold. And I laid that down. And then I used Minotaur's magenta. And laid that on top. And that's how I did it. That's how I got this red metallic. So I'm not being too precious with these highlights. Again, like I said, I'm just kind of wanting to get these guys done. But I do want to make them look good. So just a very minimal amount of highlighting there. It's really just kind of define the features kind of thing. I just want to get a little bit more highlight on this cheekbone here. Just like that. Yeah. Catch up on the brow. Catch the chin. Catch a little bit on the lip. Just like that on the nose. Tip of the nose. On the ear. Gotta get that ear. Just like that. And for the most part, I'm happy with that. Because I don't really want these guys like really pale, like regular Eldar. Because the Corsairs, you know, they're out and about and whatever's, right? So I kind of like them with a little bit more skin tone to them, because why not? That's it. Pretty simple. It's pretty much how I paint faces. Just really, really fast. Nothing terribly fancy. It's all about just catching the right points on the face. I like this face. I like this model. This is probably one of my favorite Corsairs that I converted up. Just because, his face and everything like that looks like he's holding this big gun and he's just kind of, just mowing down the enemies of the Eldar. And yes, I do make those sound effects when I'm doing that. Catch this ear, a bit on this brow, a little bit cheekbone, a bit on the bridge of the nose, on that brow, a bit on that cheekbone. And that's it. I gotta clean up where the scarf is on the face though. It's going to annoy me. All right. That's the flesh on them, the helmets. We got to do the eyes. What time we at here? Oh, we got 24 minutes left of the show. Disflux, Corsairs be oot and a boot. Oot and a boot. Oot and a boot. So, alright. Eyeballs. Yeah, let's do the eyes of the helmets. What color should the eyes be? Let me know. Right now. In the comments. Whichever way it might be. I'm going to take a moment here to recollect myself. I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the show, in case you might have missed it, might work on this. Might make videos on it. I don't know. But I added that. This is 1/12 scale. So you can guess what this is for. And also anybody can guess whose face that is. Rainbow. Moot green? I like it. Moot green. Moot green. Just a simple thing of moot green. Why not? Why not? Let's grab some moot green. And let's grab a little bit of Warpstone Glow. Because I think I'm going to do something a little bit. Yeah, we're just going to do a little bit of Warpstone Glow and then just a moot green. Just to, you know, build up. Because laying just the moot green down on top of the black, it might not, like I might have to do a few layers. And I don't want to go over the eyes too many times because you just end up making messes, right? So. Go Star and Deluxe. Wow, Dwayne has a nice hat. Disflux, a Warpstone, and Moot Green in the middle. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I think I'm going to do the entire eye in Warpstone, and then I think I might catch just one side, or maybe just the center, or I might just lay it over, but leave a bit of the Warpstone glow around the edge, you know? Either way, that's what we're doing. So, Warpstone Glow. Good call. Good call. Nice little dollop of paint. Normally too, I'd probably also hit some of the gemstones in the green. I didn't paint any of the gemstones on the guns. I don't know if I will. Or I might take the lazy way and just do silver and like the green technical. I might do that as well. But either way. Helmets. No thinning down. Just grabbing a bit of the color. Try and keep a very minimal amount on the brush. And now it's steady hands time. There we go. Yeah, because I'm catching some of the helmet, when I lay the moot green down, it probably will give a bit of a glow look. But yeah, so it's very, very minimal, but there it is. Grab another one. Oftentimes when I am doing eyeballs, you may or may not have noticed just as I was doing that that I turn the model around, basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the point of the brush, the bristles, and letting the point reside where that corner is on the eye. It works pretty much for any kind of like Space Marine lenses, Eldar, anything like that, right? Anybody who has those big eyeballs, or bigger eyeballs, I should say, not big eyeballs. But yeah, so for example, right, I do this eye, I'm laying the point in here, right there, and then just drawing back, and on this eyeball, or on this side of the fish I should say, pushing that in towards that back corner of the eye, but because I can't quite do the inside part there, turn the head around and then rest that tip right inside that corner, just like that. And of course in the back of the head here wasn't too big an issue, but I'll reinforce that with color. There we go. And that's pretty much it. Just do that for all those eyeballs. Just basically let the brush do the work for you. Essentially is what it is. You just put that point there and then just relax the tip of the brush into that area and you can get that eyeball. All about being efficient with your brush strokes. Course, as well as I don't really like to go back over the same spot too many times, just because you can, especially when you're trying to do fine work like this, just because you can end up, you know, making a boo-boo and then you got to keep going back and correcting, and it'll just, you know, it just becomes a big pain in the rump, just like I just frickin' did right there. I just hit a little too much paint area. It's okay though. When he's part of the unit, he'll disappear. The mistakes will disappear. When you're examining them one-on-one, you're like, oh, you did this and you did that. But when you're looking at them as a whole, it's like, who cares? It looks good either way, right? This side of the face here where the eye needs to be reinforced in towards the center. Anyway. Yeah, I certainly hope these guys get an update for the new edition. I hope. Here's to hoping. I don't even know if I've ever played with these guys. I think I might have. I may have used these once or twice. Kind of drawing a blank at the moment though. Alright, that's it for the green. Now let's grab some moot green. Moot. Because it's moot. Don't really need that much, but whatever. Okay, start with this game. Make sure I'm sort of in frame here. There we go. A little bit of green in the eyes. We're good to go. It's really tempting to just kind of just take a little, like a generous amount of paint on the brush and just kind of bloop, blop it in, but you want to be trying to be careful. Let's come into this one here. Let's go for the center. Oh, excuse me. There we go. As I'm kind of rushing through, I'm rethinking the warpstone and the moot, and thinking that I might have been happier if I'd have just went with silver and green, or even using, like, say, a fluorescent yellow or something. I don't know. Yeah. Or just shut up about it and just get them done. I guess that's the other option as well, right? Just shut up and get them done. Keep hitting the bottom part of the eye. This unit is like almost done. Love that green. Yeah, you like the green? I'm not 100% behind it. I mean, it looks cool at arm's length, but I don't know. I might refine it afterwards. I might just kind of clean up some of the edges there, so on the helmet and everything. But otherwise, I think that's where we'll call it for the day. So we managed to get pretty far in these guys. We did a little bit of edging on the wings, right? We got that silver on the edge of the wings. Give them a bit of a knife. We did the flesh, the hair. We just dry brushed the bone on the guns. At the beginning of the video, I talked about maybe edging the armor. I don't know if I still will. I'm kind of liking just how the armor looks as is. It's really just laid on there, really. I don't even know if I did like a zenithal type of thing, because they are a little bit darker underneath and they're a little bit brighter on the top part, right? So I might have done like a zenithal type of pre-shade kind of thing when I laid the gold down, because I'm pretty sure they were prime black, laid the metal down, ghost tint, sealed it, and that was it. Oh, and then I darkened the feet, right? And I hit the feet with black at the time. But either way, I think that's pretty much where I'm going to stop for today. I don't know if we're going to work on these guys next week, because because I'm going to probably clean up some stuff. I might pick out the gemstones on the guns, base the bases, and I'm going to base the models how I base a lot of my stuff, which is probably I'm going to use a Grillian Earth, get that crackle vibe going, and then I'll either edge them in XV88, or I might go with the old classic Goblin Green type of color, which in the modern age is probably what, Strachan Green? I think Strachan Green's kind of close to the Goblin Green. But either way, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. What we're going to work on next week, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if I feel like continuing on with the Corsairs. We might work on something else. I might work on this Relic Blade model, or I might do it for tutorials. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. Although I may work on her for videos, but I also have these rocks. These are accompany her because it's part of her powers, and I was thinking about having these kind of like busting out of the ground, and so I might sculpt a bit of, you know, like broken rock around the ground around it, kind of thing. Ground around. But anywho, that's it. I don't know if I'll make videos on this either. But yeah, I gotta clean this up. This is almost, I think it's almost 24 hours since I did this, so yeah. But I also have another head too to work on as well. I got this one as well. Yeah. Fun stuff. I also did that. The little catch on the back of the strap. I'm gonna do another one here in the front. I initially had these just as tin clasping onto the leather, but I think I want a proper, like, you know, housing there, just so it's not so, you know, medley looking and kind of junky looking. But yeah, pew 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 pew. Anywho, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm done for the day. I got stuff to pick up and I got errands to run, so I will see you guys later. Actually, well, I'll probably make a post of this later on, but I might not be able to do Way of the Brush tomorrow. It's episode 300, which is what, the 6th of June. Episode 300. I think we'll have to delay it a week because I got stuff going on tomorrow's, and yeah. But anywho, if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, big thank you. Click link in the description below for Patreon support. Huge thank you to all my patrons who currently support. You guys keep this you know, show running and this channel running. And so if you're considering support, huge thank you. And of course, if you're watching this live, well, thank you for tuning in today. And yeah, let me know what you guys think I should be working on. I mean, I've got a whole whack ton of projects to get through. I would really like to get back to my Ideneth Deepkin. Man, I've got all sorts of stuff. I've got all sorts of projects. You guys could probably just throw out all sorts of things at me, and you know, yeah, I got to get it done. But working on my Space Marine, though, is kind of one of the things that I've really wanted to be getting to. And I think I'm going to film how I paint this face, because I'm going to paint this face. And it's not going to be in the usual fashion. I'm going to do this more like how, you know, these kind of things get filmed. Not filmed, but painted, I should say. The goal being a little bit more realism-ish. Not such strong highlights and stuff. More flat colors. More like how the statues get painted, right? If you've ever seen how the statues get painted, like from Sideshow Collectibles and all that stuff, yeah, it'll be a bit more like that. Yeah, we're done. I'm getting kind of hungry, so I need lunch. So, thank you. Tuning in. I will see you guys later. I gotta see where the heck my click is. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Closing up my wet palette. Take care of your wet palettes, kids. And your brushes. Because they'll take care of you. Dun 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 dun.